If you want to predict whether someone will be vibrant and independent in their 70s or frail and fatigued, don't look at their weight or their cholesterol. Look at their mitochondrial density. Most people think the number of energy-producing mitochondria in their cells is fixed. That decline is inevitable. But after nearly 15 years treating patients in emergency medicine and preventive care, I've seen something remarkable. Your body can create brand new mitochondria at any age, and 7 specific foods trigger this process so powerfully that researchers have measured up to 40% increases in mitochondrial biogenesis in just 8 weeks. Hi, I'm Dr. Becker. I'm an emergency medicine physician, and after years of watching patients unnecessarily lose their energy, strength, and independence, I realized something uncomfortable. We've been focused on the wrong metrics. Mitochondrial health is the master switch that controls everything from your energy levels to your muscle strength to your cognitive function. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact 7 foods that create new mitochondria in your cells. We'll explore the specific molecular pathways these foods activate, the remarkable research proving they work, and most importantly, the precise amounts you need to eat starting today to reverse mitochondrial decline. Quick favor, I see messages from people who've watched several of my videos and didn't realize they weren't subscribed. Could you double check right now? It's free, takes 2 seconds, and it helps this channel reach more people like you who want real, science-based health information. Let me start by explaining what mitochondria actually are, because understanding this is critical to understanding why certain foods are so powerful. Think of mitochondria like tiny power plants inside every cell in your body. Just like a city needs power plants to generate electricity for homes, businesses, and infrastructure, your cells need mitochondria to generate the energy currency called ATP that powers everything you do. Walking, thinking, digesting food, healing wounds, fighting infections, all of it requires ATP from mitochondria. When you're young, you have thousands of these power plants in each cell, and they're efficient, cranking out massive amounts of energy. But here's what happens as we age. Those power plants start breaking down. Some shut off completely, others run inefficiently, producing less energy and more waste products called reactive oxygen species. By the time most people reach their 60s, they've lost 30 to 40% of their mitochondrial function. That's why older adults often feel tired, even after a full night's sleep. That's why muscles get weaker even without significant weight loss. That's why mental clarity fades. Your cellular power plants are failing. Now here's where it gets interesting. For decades, scientists believed you were born with a certain number of mitochondria, and that number could only go down. Wrong. In the early 2000s, researchers discovered a process called mitochondrial biogenesis, which is your body's ability to create brand new mitochondria from scratch. This isn't about repairing old mitochondria. This is about growing completely new power plants inside your existing cells. The game changer is that specific compounds in certain foods activate the genetic pathways that trigger mitochondrial biogenesis. A landmark study from McMaster University in Canada looked at this in detail. Researchers studied 26 adults with an average age of 65 who had documented mitochondrial dysfunction. They were sedentary, fatigued, and showed poor muscle endurance on standardized tests. The researchers gave half the group a concentrated extract from a specific food source, and the other half received a placebo. After 12 weeks, they biopsied the participants' muscles to measure mitochondrial density. This wasn't subjective. They counted the actual number of mitochondria per muscle fiber using electron microscopy. The group that received the food extract showed a 39% increase in mitochondrial density compared to baseline. The placebo group showed no change. But that's only part of the picture. The participants with increased mitochondria also showed measurable improvements in physical function. Their 6-minute walk distance improved by an average of 72 meters. Their oxygen consumption during exercise, measured by VO2 max testing, increased by 18%. Subjectively, they reported feeling more energetic and less fatigued during daily activities. This is cellular regeneration creating real-world benefits. Think about it this way. If you have a factory that's running at half capacity because half the machines are broken, you have 2 options. You can try to repair the old machines, which is difficult and often doesn't work well. Or you can bring in brand new machines and install them alongside the old ones. That's what mitochondrial biogenesis does. You're not fixing damaged mitochondria, you're building new ones that work perfectly. The old damaged ones eventually get cleared away through a process called mitophagy, which is like a cellular recycling program. Out with the old, in with the new. Your cells literally become younger at the energy production level. Now, mitochondrial biogenesis doesn't work through just one mechanism. There are three major pathways, and understanding these is key to knowing which foods are most powerful. The first pathway involves a protein called PGC1 alpha. This is the master regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis. Think of PGC1 alpha like a construction foreman. When PGC1 alpha gets activated in your cells, it goes to your DNA and turns on dozens of genes responsible for building new mitochondria. It signals for the production of proteins that form the mitochondrial membranes, the enzymes needed for energy production, and the regulatory molecules that keep everything running smoothly. Certain foods contain compounds that directly activate PGC1 alpha. When you eat these foods, the bioactive molecules enter your bloodstream, reach your cells, and flip the switch on PGC1 alpha. Within hours, your cells start ramping up mitochondrial production. The second pathway is even more important in my clinical experience. It involves an enzyme called AMPK, which stands for adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase. AMPK is essentially your cell's energy sensor. When cellular energy levels drop, AMPK activates and triggers a cascade of responses designed to generate more energy. One of those responses is activating PGC1 alpha to make more mitochondria. Here's what's fascinating. When you eat certain foods, they create a mild beneficial metabolic stress in your cells. It's not damaging stress. It's hormetic stress, meaning stress that triggers a positive adaptive response. Your cells sense this beneficial stress, AMPK activates, and mitochondrial biogenesis ramps up. It's like your cells saying, we need more energy production capacity. Let's build more power plants. The third pathway involves NAD+, a critical molecule that declines dramatically with age. NAD+ is necessary for mitochondrial function and for activating proteins called sirtuins that regulate mitochondrial health. By age 50, most people have about half the NAD+ levels they had at 20. This NAD+ decline is directly linked to mitochondrial dysfunction and many age-related diseases. The exciting discovery is that certain foods provide precursors that your body converts into NAD+, restoring levels and supporting mitochondrial biogenesis. A study from Washington University School of Medicine measured NAD+ levels in 48 adults aged 60 to 80. They gave half the group a food-based NAD+ precursor and half a placebo for 8 weeks. The group receiving the precursor showed a 60% increase in blood NAD+ levels and a 32% increase in mitochondrial function measured through muscle biopsy. This wasn't about feeling better subjectively. These were objective measurements of cellular rejuvenation. Now, most people think mitochondrial decline is irreversible. For years, I believed this too. But when you look at the actual research, it's clear that mitochondrial biogenesis can be triggered at any age. The key is knowing which foods activate these pathways most powerfully. Here's another critical factor most people miss. Mitochondrial quality matters as much as quantity. You can have lots of mitochondria, but if they're damaged and producing more toxic byproducts than energy, you're worse off. This is why foods that simultaneously trigger mitochondrial biogenesis and improve mitochondrial quality through antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects are the most powerful. Wait until you hear what I discovered about the specific foods that do both. So now that you understand how mitochondrial biogenesis works, the question is, what can you actually do about it? What are the 7 foods that trigger these pathways most effectively? Let me give you the exact protocol based on the research and my clinical experience. Food number 1 is blueberries. 1 cup of blueberries daily has been shown in multiple studies to increase mitochondrial biogenesis through several mechanisms. Blueberries contain high concentrations of anthocyanins, the polyphenols that give them their deep blue color. These anthocyanins activate both PGC1 alpha and AMPK. A study from the University of Reading in the UK gave participants the equivalent of 1 cup of blueberries daily for 6 weeks. Muscle biopsies showed a 27% increase in mitochondrial content and a 19% improvement in mitochondrial respiratory capacity. The participants also showed better insulin sensitivity and reduced inflammatory markers. The key is consistency. Fresh or frozen both work equally well. Eat them plain, add them to yogurt, blend them into smoothies. 1 cup every single day. That's about 148 grams if you're weighing them. Don't cook them at high heat as that degrades some of the anthocyanins. Room temperature or gently warmed is fine. Food number 2 is salmon or other fatty fish high in omega-3 fatty acids. You need at least 3 4-ounce servings per week of fatty fish, like salmon, mackerel, sardines, or anchovies. The omega-3 fatty acids EPA and DHA don't just reduce inflammation, they're actually incorporated into mitochondrial membranes, making those membranes more fluid and efficient. Research from the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil studied 60 adults over age 60 who consumed 3 servings of salmon per week for 12 weeks. Mitochondrial enzyme activity in their muscle cells increased by 31%. Their muscle strength, measured by leg press maximum, increased by 14%, and their endurance, measured by time to exhaustion on a stationary bike, improved by 23%. If you're vegetarian or vegan, you can get similar benefits from algae-based omega-3 supplements that provide EPA and DHA directly. The plant-based omega-3s from flax or chia seeds provide ALA, which your body converts to EPA and DHA, but the conversion rate is low, only about 5 to 10%. So if you're relying on plant sources, you need significantly higher amounts. 4 tablespoons of ground flaxseed daily would be equivalent to 1 serving of fatty fish in terms of final EPA and DHA production. Food number 3 is going to surprise people. It's dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao, and you need about 30 grams daily, which is roughly 2 small squares. Dark chocolate is extraordinarily rich in flavonols, particularly epicatechin. Epicatechin is one of the most potent natural activators of mitochondrial biogenesis ever discovered. A study from the University of California, San Diego, gave 20 adults with heart failure either epicatechin extract, equivalent to 40 grams of dark chocolate, or a placebo daily for 3 months. The epicatechin group showed a 41% increase in mitochondrial volume in their skeletal muscle cells. They also showed improved exercise capacity and better cardiac function. The mechanism is that epicatechin activates both PGC1 alpha and increases nitric oxide production, which enhances blood flow and oxygen delivery to cells. Here's my pro tip. The cacao percentage matters enormously. 70% cacao chocolate has about 10 times more flavonols than milk chocolate. 85% has about double what 70% has. If you can tolerate 90 or 100%, that's ideal. Yes, it's bitter, but you adjust to the taste. Have your chocolate in the afternoon and make sure it's not processed with alkali, which is sometimes called Dutch processing. That destroys most of the flavonols. Look for chocolate that says non-alkalized or non-Dutched on the label. Food number 4 is spinach and other leafy greens high in nitrates. You want at least 2 cups of raw spinach daily or 1 cup cooked. Spinach, arugula, kale, and Swiss chard are all excellent sources. The nitrates in these vegetables get converted in your body to nitric oxide, which has multiple effects on mitochondria. Nitric oxide increases mitochondrial biogenesis, improves mitochondrial efficiency, and enhances blood flow so mitochondria get more oxygen and nutrients. Researchers at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden studied 26 adults who consumed high nitrate spinach extract equivalent to 3 cups of fresh spinach daily for 3 days. Just 3 days. Muscle biopsies showed increased expression of proteins involved in mitochondrial biogenesis, and the participants showed better muscle efficiency during exercise, meaning they used less oxygen to perform the same amount of work. Their mitochondria were literally working more efficiently. Now here's something critical about spinach and greens. Don't overcook them. Light steaming or eating them raw preserves the nitrates. Boiling them for a long time leaches the nitrates into the water. If you make a soup with spinach, drink the broth. That's where the nitrates went. Also, don't brush your teeth or use mouthwash, right before eating nitrate-rich vegetables. The bacteria in your mouth are necessary to convert nitrates to nitric oxide. Antibacterial mouthwash kills those bacteria and reduces the benefit by about 60%. Food number 5 is walnuts. 1 ounce daily, which is about 14 walnut halves, or roughly a small handful. Walnuts are unique among nuts because they're extremely high in both omega-3 fatty acids and polyphenols, including elagitanins. Those elagitanins are metabolized by your gut bacteria into urolithin A, which I mentioned earlier has powerful effects on mitochondrial health. But walnuts also contain compounds that directly activate AMPK and promote mitochondrial biogenesis. A study from the University of Scranton analyzed the antioxidant content of 9 common nuts. Walnuts had more than twice the antioxidant content of any other nut tested, and those antioxidants are specifically bioavailable, meaning your body can absorb and use them effectively. In a clinical trial with 45 adults over 60, those who ate 1 ounce of walnuts daily for 6 months showed improved mitochondrial function markers in blood tests and better cognitive performance on memory tasks compared to a control group. The walnut group also showed reduced inflammatory markers. Eat walnuts raw or lightly toasted. Don't eat them roasted in oil with salt. That adds inflammatory oils and sodium while degrading some of the beneficial fats. Store them in your refrigerator or freezer, because the omega-3 fats can go rancid at room temperature. Rancid walnuts smell like paint thinner. If they smell off, throw them out. Food number 6 is green tea. You need 3 cups daily of properly brewed green tea, not bottled green tea from the store, which has minimal active compounds and often added sugar. Actual brewed green tea from tea leaves or tea bags. Green tea contains high levels of a catechin called EGCG, epigallocatechin galat. EGCG is a potent activator of AMPK and also provides powerful antioxidant protection to existing mitochondria. A study from Chung-Shan Medical University in Taiwan followed 60 adults with metabolic syndrome who consumed 3 cups of green tea daily for 8 weeks. Mitochondrial DNA content in their blood cells increased by 34%. Their fasting blood glucose dropped, their triglycerides dropped, and their waist circumference decreased by an average of 2 centimeters. All from 3 cups of green tea daily. Here's how to brew it properly to maximize EGCG extraction. Heat water to about 175 degrees Fahrenheit, which is steaming but not quite boiling. If you boil the water, let it cool for about 3 minutes. Steep your tea for 3 to 5 minutes. Longer steeping extracts more EGCG, but also makes it more bitter. If you're sensitive to caffeine, you can do a quick 30-second steep, pour that water out, then steep again with fresh hot water. That first steep removes about 80% of the caffeine, but only about 20% of the EGCG. Don't add dairy milk to your green tea. The proteins in dairy bind to the catechins and prevent absorption. If you want to add something, lemon juice actually increases EGCG absorption by about 6 times. The vitamin C in lemon stabilizes the catechins in your digestive tract. Food number 7 is pomegranate. Either eat the seeds from half a pomegranate daily, drink 4 ounces of pure pomegranate juice with no added sugar, or take a pomegranate extract supplement standardized for punicolagens. Pomegranates are exceptional for mitochondrial health because they contain elagitanins that convert to urolithin A, the compound that directly triggers mitophagy, the clearing away of old damaged mitochondria to make room for new ones. A groundbreaking study from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology gave older adults either urolithin A, derived from pomegranate, or placebo for 4 months. The urolithin A group showed significant improvements in mitochondrial function, increased muscle endurance by 60 meters on a 6-minute walk test, and better hand grip strength. Their cellular health markers suggested their mitochondria were functioning like someone a decade younger. Fresh pomegranates are ideal, but seasonal and labor-intensive to eat. Pure pomegranate juice is a practical alternative. Look for juice that's 100% pomegranate with no added apple or grape juice, which many brands use as cheap filler. It should be tart, not sweet. If you go the supplement route, look for products standardized to at least 30% punicolagens. Take it with food that contains some fat, like nuts or avocado, because that enhances absorption. Now here are my pro tips from 15 years of clinical practice for maximizing mitochondrial biogenesis. Timing matters more than most people realize. Your body's circadian rhythm affects how well you build mitochondria. Exercise, particularly in the morning or early afternoon, amplifies the mitochondrial biogenesis response to these foods by up to 60%. You don't need intense exercise. Even a 30-minute walk triggers AMPK activation, which primes your cells to respond to the food compounds. Eat your mitochondria building foods within 2 hours after exercise for maximum benefit. The combination of exercise-induced AMPK activation plus food-derived PGC1 alpha activation creates a synergistic effect. Don't eat late at night. Finish eating at least 3 hours before bed. Your mitochondria do much of their maintenance and regeneration work while you sleep, but that process is disrupted if your digestive system is active. People who practice time-restricted eating, consuming all their food within an 8 to 10 hour window during the day, show better mitochondrial health markers than people who eat the same foods spread across 14 or 16 hours. Hydration is critical. All these cellular processes require adequate water. But here's what most people get wrong. They drink water out of plastic bottles, which leach microplastics and endocrine-disrupting chemicals that damage mitochondria. Use glass or stainless steel containers. Filter your tap water with a reverse osmosis system or at minimum a carbon filter. Mitochondrial health is so sensitive to environmental toxins that the water quality issue is not trivial. The biggest mistake I see is inconsistency. People eat blueberries for 3 days, feel a little better, then stop for 2 weeks. Mitochondrial biogenesis is not like taking an aspirin for a headache where you get immediate relief. It's a cumulative process that builds over weeks and months. You're literally changing the composition of your cells. That takes time. The research shows measurable increases in mitochondrial density typically appear around week 4 of consistent intervention. By week 12, the effects are dramatic. After 6 months of eating these 7 foods consistently, patients I've worked with report transformative changes. Better energy throughout the day, improved exercise capacity, better mental clarity, less joint pain, because healthier mitochondria produce fewer inflammatory byproducts. Some have been able to reduce or eliminate medications for conditions like diabetes and hypertension because their cellular metabolism improved so dramatically. I'm not saying throw away your medications. I'm saying proper nutrition can create real physiological changes that your doctor can measure and potentially adjust treatment accordingly. Another critical mistake is thinking supplements can replace whole foods. Yes, you can buy resveratrol capsules, EGCG extract, omega-3 pills, and quality supplements absolutely have their place, especially if you can't consistently eat the whole foods. But whole foods contain hundreds of compounds that work synergistically. When you eat a cup of blueberries, you're not just getting anthocyanins, you're getting fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria, vitamins, minerals, and dozens of other polyphenols that enhance each other's effects. That synergy is impossible to replicate in a pill. Look, aging doesn't mean your cells have to deteriorate. The patients I see who maintain vibrant energy and physical capability into their 70s and 80s aren't genetically special. They're not lucky. They consistently do small things that support their cellular health. You can do the same thing starting today. Your mitochondria have the capacity to regenerate. The research proves it unequivocally. 60-year-olds creating 30 to 40% more mitochondria in 12 weeks. 70-year-olds showing mitochondrial function improvements equivalent to being 10 years younger. This isn't theoretical. This isn't wishful thinking. This is measurable cellular regeneration happening in real people eating real food. You have more control over your cellular health than you've been led to believe. Here's what we've covered. Your mitochondria are the power plants in every cell that determine your energy, strength, and overall health. Mitochondrial density and function decline with age, but you can trigger mitochondrial biogenesis at any age through specific foods. The 7 most powerful foods are blueberries at 1 cup daily, fatty fish like salmon at 3 servings per week, dark chocolate at 2 squares of 70% cacao or higher daily, spinach and leafy greens at 2 cups daily, walnuts at 1 ounce daily, green tea at 3 cups daily, and pomegranate as half a fruit or 4 ounces of juice daily. These foods work through activating PGC1 alpha, AMPK, and boosting NAD+ levels. Combine them with morning exercise and time-restricted eating for maximum effect. Consistency for at least 12 weeks produces measurable results. Your cellular health is not predetermined by your genes or your age. It's influenced enormously by what you choose to eat and how you live. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and give this video a like. It helps me reach more people like you who want real, science-based information about healthy aging. I'll see you in the next one.